Oh, thank you. My lofty, ambitious idea that was once simply just a permanent resident of my daily to-do list actually helped save lives. What if your boldest plan that is currently stuck in that treacherous someday category, what if it could do the same? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Akash, Vikram, Shroff, and for those of you who are unfamiliar with my work, I founded All Pink, and we're a student-led breast cancer awareness organization. We work with this company called Niramai Health Analytics to set up free screening camps for the underprivileged using Niramai's novel painless screening technology. Now, I don't believe I'm either an expert on breast cancer or the screening technology, and therefore I don't want to waste your time today addressing either. I want to speak about what I believe and I am an expert about, doing something. Anything, really. And don't get me wrong, I'm not claiming to have overcome procrastination or the fear of failure. And the philosophy of why do today what you can do tomorrow resonates with me quite clearly. I believe I've found some ways to work around both of them when needed. Now, I'm going to be taking you through my journey of starting All Pink and use that to flesh out the ideas that I believe have helped me. And these ideas I've cultivated both through personal experience and others' opinions. First, I'm going to be performing a short spoken word piece outlining my association with breast cancer. And during the course of this piece, if you hear anything that resonates with you or moves you, I want you to clap. Let's hear it. Everyone clap. Clap. Okay, guys, my talk hasn't even ended. Stop making me blush, okay? I want you to snap loudly. Snap. Come on, you can do better than that. Snap. Or I want you to stomp. That's the spirit. Now, feel free to make as much noise as possible. You see, the energy that this audience interaction brings is key to the performance. And this way, if you don't like the performance, I can just blame it on you. No, but seriously, the piece is very close to my heart. It's called Dear Breast Cancer. I hope you enjoy it. You fondled my cousin's breasts as she slept. Groping them without her consent, you lingered on the very walls of her room. A growing, insidious presence. You did not stop while she wailed, while she begged for solace. You didn't retreat even when you stole her soul, leaving her an empty husk, all chewed up and spat out. At her funeral, your slime seemed to envelop the spaces. You clung to the very cells of our skin. We couldn't scrape you off, no matter how much we tried. You wandered freely, scouting your next victim. You lurked at the back of my mind fragmented into a million pieces, each splinter petrified of you, yet each desperate to get revenge. Being brave doesn't mean you aren't scared, for you can only be brave when every ounce of your body is soaked in fear, and still you say, let me carry on. Thank you. But what was I to do? I'm barely 5'7" on my good days, a minuscule speck on my bed, a grain of sand in this universe's vast desert. A desert that you howled across, a desert where your fell clutches reigned supreme. I knew that if I was to square up to you, the hideous, gargantuan creature that you are, I'd have to do it not by myself, but rather on the backs of others. And so, risking embarrassment, ridicule for being just a child and swatted away without consideration, risking vulnerability, I partnered with the strong, graceful women at Niramai, each as eager as I to end your tyranny. Then the work began. Long hours of cold calling followed, through friends of friends of friends of friends, remote connections that yearned to be rekindled, but calls that oft led nowhere, simply further down a maze of ignorance, each twist and turn damp with the putrid dew of laziness. But these mazes had no triumphant conclusion, only a dead end. Hope dwindled. Sometimes though, just sometimes, these calls brought with them a brilliant light, a blend of eagerness and cooperation, companies and rotaries that were actually willing to take a chance and make a difference. The screening camps trickled, drop by drop by drop, until before you knew it, the bucket was full. Yes, there were seemingly cataclysmic obstacles, difficulties that seemed insurmountable, information clamped down on a heavy shackled stigma, rampant apathy, but those having been constructed by you over innumerable lifetimes will take some time to shed, but believe me, they will shed. And slowly, as the cogs start turning, as our awareness campaigns and marketing projects pick up steam, there will be a day when maybe 1 million, maybe 1 billion more Niramas and all things come up. And your illusory facade is no more. People won't be terrified of you, for they know you can be beaten. And that day will come when people realize no matter how small, they can truly make a difference. When people are not shy of being just kids or of being vulnerable, that day will come when people understand hurdles are just temporary obstacles and not permanent setbacks. When people stop looking for excuses and start looking for reasons, that day will come when people realize it never gets easier. They just get better. Dear breast cancer, I believe that day is almost here. Thank you. Well, now I'm going to be taking you through some of the general ideas that I believed helped me start Allpink, and I hope help you too. The first one, motivation is overrated. Yeah, after getting that, you may seem slightly surprised. You may think I'm a little loony. Don't worry, I get that enough. But hear me out. How many of us, by show of hands, have at some point in their life taken up a gym or fitness-related New Year's resolution? Yeah? A majority, right? And how many among us now, and I'm not talking about the unwavering superhumans, how many of us lesser mortals have at some point said, you know what? Today I'm just too lazy, man. I don't want to go to the gym. I can't get myself motivated enough. Yeah? Everyone, see? Now, I'm guilty of this too, and honestly, it's not really our fault. You see, motivation intrinsically is a dwindling commodity. It's like a high. It comes in short bursts where you're ultra-driven and leaves you in equally terrible lows where you're stuck in a rut and can't seem to do anything. I faced this problem firsthand when I had to contact people for screening camps. When there were yeses coming, I was raring to go. There weren't enough people in the world that I could call. But as soon as the no's came, which inevitably did happen, I fell apart. It was like the life was sucked out of me, and I couldn't get myself motivated to make another call. Now, how do you deal with something as intricate as this? Simply put, you switch your driving commodity from motivation to discipline. And so instead of chasing that motivation high after the initial rush subsides, you use that initial rush to set up a system built on the foundations of accountability and discipline that you can always fall back on. Now, it seems like I threw a lot of words at you there. I did, and this seems like a very fantastical idea that you can't implement, but implementing this concept really isn't that difficult. I like to do it using filmmaker Matt Diavella's 2-day rule. Now, how he describes it is that whenever he takes up any new project, be it filming a video or going to the gym, and external circumstances beyond his control force him to take 1 day off, he will not, at any reasonable cost, take the next day off. That is, he won't take 2 consecutive days off. And not only does this create a consistent routine that you can always fall back on, it also helps you instill discipline and start forming a new habit. I used this for my earlier predicament, and I set myself a daily task of calling or following up with one person. It may not seem like a lot, but that's the point. It has to be a simple enough task that when you do repeatedly, can truly make an impact. Using this rule, it didn't matter what the response of the person was or whether or not I could complete the call because of some overwhelming schoolwork. I knew that I just had to make another call the next day. I had no choice, and motivation was taken out of the equation almost entirely. Now, the important thing to remember when following such a rule like this is to make sure you can complete the task. There's no point if you can't do it and you get burnt out trying. And suppose an emergency forces you to take 2 days off. Big deal. Don't beat yourself up about it. The important thing is that you pull yourself back on track. And these setbacks actually help you more than you can realize. That brings me to my second takeaway. The idea of setbacks leading to growth is a very cliched one, I agree. But experiencing it firsthand can truly help broaden your understanding of it. It's difficult being a kid and trying to get people to listen to you. And naturally, both sides of the argument are justified. Younger people are desperate to be considered, while elder people believe that there's an innate naivety that prohibits younger people from working well in the real world. Personally, we at Allpink have had massive issues with certain hospitals, who shall not be named, treating us rather unfairly and awarding us inefficient treatment simply because of the fact that we were kids. I'm here to offer you an unconventional perspective on the harsh reality. It never gets easier. the same people treat you exactly the same way no matter how much time you spend with them. But you get better, even though it seems like you're getting worse. Confusing, right? Yeah, it was for me too, but it's something called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Now, this is a psychological study that was conducted by these two scientists, and what their results revealed was that beginners at a task tend to rate themselves highly simply because they don't have enough subject knowledge to realize how superficial their understanding is. They can't make an accurate judgment. And as you get more experienced at something, as you get slightly better, you tend to be more critical of yourself simply because of the fact that you know enough to know that there is a lot you don't know. You realize that there is a broad expanse that you haven't encountered yet, and therefore you're more critical. The point of this is to be comforting. It's to take solace in the fact that your mind and at times your self-esteem are fickle. And even if it feels like you're stagnant, even if it feels like you're not improving, if you continue honing your skills, you will in time reach expertise. In time, I did learn how to deal with that god-awful bureaucracy that those hospitals awarded us, and I learned how to use our track record to command respect. Furthermore, in general, the exposure that organizing these camps gave me was like no other. I mean, negotiating prices, building discipline within a team, all while persuading organizations to give a bunch of 17-year-olds dealing with a highly stigmatized topic a chance. I couldn't learn that from any textbooks. And so what I want you to take away is trust the process, accept the learning curve, and in time your projects will impact you in ways you didn't think possible. Now, finally, the last takeaway, and perhaps the biggest for me. So you see, the largest obstacle that I faced when it comes to implementing any idea or any project of mine is dealing with what others would think. In order to inconspicuously blend in so as to not draw unwanted attention to myself for fear of public ridicule, I never truly put myself out there. I trudged along cautiously, worried that if I committed the slightest blunder, the world around me would crumble. And in doing so, I was behaving like most humans. You see, I was my worst own enemy. I was consistently undermining myself at every step. And that was until I saw a video explaining a painting titled Landscape and the Fall of Icarus. Now, let's take a closer look, see what this painting has to offer. Look at this peaceful pastoral scene brought out. In the center, you can see a man toiling away at his field. There's a shepherd tending to his flock. Distant cities appear prosperous. There's a magnificent ship basking in the wind. And at the bottom right, there's a portrait of drowning Icarus. You see, Icarus flew too close to the sun, much against his father's wishes. And as a result, his wings melted and snapped, and he fell to his death. But peculiarly, the tragedy of Icarus is not the central focus of this painting. It's been given a periphery role. The central focus is the man plowing his field, which gives reference to the ancient proverb, "No plow waits for the dying man." Some feel that the neglect of Icarus's tragedy is reflective of how little the world cares about us, how insignificant we all are, and how doomed we are, which is rather dark and gloomy, don't you think? But I like to look at it differently. No matter how badly we mess up, the world simply doesn't care. You know, the world is far too busy to care, and what may be a central tragedy for us is actually something of periphery focus for the rest of the world, something that may even slip their eye, as I'm sure a majority of you wouldn't have noticed Icarus had I not pointed him out. And this quote that I read sums it up quite well. Don't lie awake at night wondering how you could cope without the approval of people you don't even like very much. And that is what I want to leave you with. Yes, I am 18 years old. I'm extremely idealistic, naive, optimistic, and ambitious, and maybe I can't change the world, but who said I can't try? Who said you can't try? Thank you.